The story of the Churchill series started in 1940. In the summer of that year, the Brits found themselves in a very tight spot. They were pushed out of the continent, and Britain was facing the threat of invasion by sea. Lots of vehicles were lost in Europe, and the British desperately needed tanks in case Germany would follow through with their threat of Operation Sea Lion. The British top brass weren't happy with the idea of recouping losses with old models alone. They wanted a new tank. The specifications for a brand new vehicle were eventually given to Vauxhall Motors, despite the fact that the company had never assembled tanks before. The Churchill Mark I was, naturally, named after the one and only Winston Churchill. Design-wise, the first Churchill was very reminiscent of the tanks of World War I. This World War I appearance owed to the hull being significantly shorter than the tracks, allowing the tank to navigate difficult terrain. The massive tank also made for a great target, but with it being literally the most well-armored tank at the time, nobody seemed to care, and rightly so. Of course, having all that armor somewhat limited the tank's mobility and reduced its max speed. But have you seen that armor? Furthermore, the tank came with not one, but two guns, just like the French B-1. The first Churchill was armed with a hull howitzer capable of shooting HE and smoke rounds, and a quick-firing 2-pounder sitting in a cast turret. The tank was also equipped with a handy Beza machine gun with a lot of ammo and smoke dischargers. A bit later, the British started to encounter better protected German tanks in northern Africa. Against those tanks, 2-pounders were only effective at close range, while a new 6-pounder cannon was still under development. One attempt to solve this problem led to the creation of a tank destroyer based on a Churchill chassis. To make it easier to crack the defenses of German panzers, the new vehicle was armed with an old 3-inch gun, mounted in a fixed, thick box casement. Thanks to a higher penetration rate, this tank destroyer, known as the gun carrier, the 3-inch Mark I Churchill, can work wonders when paired with other Churchills or Matildas. While its tanky brethren do their thing, the gun carrier deals with nuts that are too tough for others to crack. The Churchill Mark III was the first major armament overhaul of the series. The hull howitzer was eliminated. Instead, the tank was given a second machine gun. Moreover, the tank came with a new, roomier, welded turret, housing a brand new, quick-firing 6-pounder cannon capable of penetrating the defenses of a Tiger. The gun has a depression of 12 degrees, but only when the turret and gun are facing the front and the side of the vehicle. Otherwise, the tracks get in the way. At the same time, the tank's overall low speed, long body, and shoulder-stop stabilizer allow the tanker to lay precision fire even on the move, boosting your survivability and making the Churchill Mark III a very effective combatant overall. On the 19th of August 1942, there was a failed attempt by the Allies to invade the German-occupied port of Dieppe. A few Churchills could not be evacuated and fell into the hands of the Germans, which is why in War Thunder, the Churchill Mark III can be found in the German tech tree as well. It's very easy to spot, thanks to its grey camo and white cross markings. By 1943, the armor layout of Churchill tanks was barely adequate. Clearly, some improvements had to be made. That's why the next model, the Churchill Mark VII, used welded construction throughout the hull. Furthermore, the tank was given even thicker armor, up to 152 millimeters in the front and 95 millimeters in the sides. All that additional weight obviously made the vehicle heavier, but now the Churchill was able to withstand a hit from a German KWK-40, even at point-blank range. The tank was also armed with a new 75mm gun a bored-out version of the 6-pounder that could take American 75 ammunition. The A-43 Black Prince was the last tank by Vauxhall Motors that used the Churchill as its basis. It got a slightly longer and wider body, allowing engineers to equip it with a new turret, incorporating a few design choices that would also be a part of the Centurion design slightly later. A freakishly powerful 17-pounder solved all problems with firepower, but the tank got noticeably less mobile. It was a 50-ton vehicle now, running on the same engine and with the same transmission, giving it a max speed of less than 20 kph. By the time the Black Prince was ready, it was too late for it to see service in Europe. There were 6 Black Princes in total, and not a single one of them was ever in battle. Luckily, they see a lot of use in our game. Its early models were plagued with teething problems, and even later ones had a rather old-fashioned design. But despite all that, tanks of the Churchill series served till the very end of World War II. And they served well. Even after that, thanks to their driving performance and sturdy armor, they were deemed worthy of being used in the Korean Peninsula, where they fought throughout the first year of the war. All in all variations included, there were more than 5,000 Churchills made, making it one of the most numerously produced heavy tanks in history. What is your favorite Churchill? Do tell us. Come on, in the comments below here. We really would like to know.